Today we'll be discussing about chapter 12, attendance and interrogation of witnesses, which runs from section 160 to section 163. Before starting, thanks friend for subscribing the channel. If you like the video, you can subscribe the channel and like the video and place your comments in comment box also. So in order to find the truth of information, FIR, and to secure evidence, police requires the information from people who may be acquainted with fact and circumstances of the commission of offence. So people who are acquainted with the facts and circumstances of the case are to be inquired so that relevant evidence and information can be obtained to bring the guilty to book, or whatever the scenario is, to make it clear. Section 160 clause 1, it talks about police officer can require attendance provided following conditions are fulfilled. So clause 1 talks about certain things which are to be there. First, order must be in writing. So police officer, if require attendance of a person, the order shall be in writing. Second, any person may be called. Any person whose attendance is required should appear to be acquainted with facts and circumstances of the matter in hand. So the person who is being called should appear to be acquainted with facts and circumstances, so that police unnecessarily do not call people who are not related to the case. Now, as to order must be in writing, if this order is disobeyed, then section 174 of IPC would be invoked. However, no force can be exercised if such person does not appear. So force cannot be exercised by a police officer. However, section 174 can be attracted. Now, as to any person who is acquainted, any person includes person who may become accused. Narayan Swamy versus Emperor. Now, accused person can also be called, which is discussed later in this video. Now, attendance of accused cannot be required to answer the charge. However, such information may be relevant by virtue of section 27 of Indian Evidence Act. This is also being discussed later in the video. Now, this means that the person cannot be asked to answer the charge framed against the accused person, because that would be self-incriminating. The section also talks about person who cannot be called into police station and enquiry is to be done at their residence. A child under age of 15 years or person above age of 65 years, women, mentally or physically disabled person. They are not to be called in police station and inquiries to be made at their residence. So child, women, and these child women should not be attracted to places like police station, and person who are above 65 years and mentally and physical disabled person, unnecessary hardship should not occur to them. That's why inquiry is done at their residence. Section 161 talks about examination of witnesses by police. So clause 1 says police officer may examine any person oral seems to be acquainted with fact and circumstances of the matter in hand. So as to the matter, if a person knows something, then police officer may examine him, but in oral form. So object of this section is to collect evidence. Any person means accused person also. Examination shall be oral, and read it with section 161 clause 3 will be dealing later in this video. A statement or record under section 161 is generally called case diary statement. This is generally called case diary statement. All the things related to the case are placed at one place, that is case diary statement. Now, police with permission of magistrate may question the accused person at any place which does not amount to police custody, even after remand, after judicial custody. So, if even a person who has been remanded in judicial custody and police require further information with the permission of magistrate, it can be done so. 161 clause 2. Now, the person called by police is bound to answer the question truthfully. He is bound to answer the questions truthfully, except answering questions having tendency of self-incrimination. be it relates to matter in hand or to other matter. So, refusal to answer attracts section 179 and 193 of IPC as the case may be. Now, section 161 clause 2, which allows the accused to remain silent, is a legislative gloss on article 20 clause 3. Now, accused have right to remain silent, and if forced, such testimony would be compelled testimony. The power of police has to be considered on the one hand, and the safety of people has to be considered on the other hand, as people as well as accused. So, police is empowered to examine the person, but there are certain safeguards like 161 clause 2, and further we'll be dealing the same in lecture. Now, if you like the video, you can subscribe the channel, place the comment in comment box and like the video. Section 161 clause 3 talks about recording of statements. So, statements which are made are to be recorded. And how? So, police officer, if reduce the statements in writing, would make a separate entry record. If reduce the statement in writing, it means police officer may refrain himself from doing so, but it is desired that it is to be done for the purpose of record. Recording of statement is optional, but it is desired that police officer record at least substance of statement for the purpose of record. Now, a separate entry record has to be made. Separate record has to be made. So, if joint record is there, that is admissible, but weight of evidence may be affected. Now, court becomes cautious. So, audio video means may also be used to record the statement, and after amendment, specifically in the cases of sexual harassment or related with the sexual offense, the recording has to be done in by audio and video means. However, it could be used by police officer in other cases as well. Section 162 clause 1, it talks about statement made under section 161 during investigation need not to be signed, and it would be used as evidence by permission of court for specific purpose. Now, if we break down it like we have done with other sections and in previous videos also, record if signed by person. First thing is that it shall not be, need not to be signed by the person. Even if it is signed somehow, then proceeding would not be vitiated. Proceeding will keep on go, but court will scrutinize the evidence carefully, because as per law the statement should not be signed by the person making it, but if signed, then court become cautious about it. Now, second is, it is not a substantive piece of evidence, as it is neither on oath nor during trial. So, it is not a substantive piece of evidence. Third point talks about use. It may be used under section 145 of Indian Evidence Act for contradiction. To contradict the statement of the person, it may be used, and specifically contradict the statement of prosecution witness. If so, if it is used under section 145, then it may also be used in re-examination for clarification as to matter asked in cross-examination. So, if certain questions are being asked during cross-examination, for their clarification, such person may be re-examined. So, the stage of examination has to be ascertained, that is examination in chief, cross-examination and re-examination. Now, fourth point, conditions for statement to be so allowed. Now, if these statements are allowed in evidence, then certain conditions are there to be fulfilled. The first is, statement must have been reduced to writing by police officer. Now, the witness must have been called for the prosecution. Prosecution means state have called the witness. The written statement must be duly proved. Unless proved, court will not admit it. Now, relating these proving and 145 and cross-examination and other things, we have to make some videos on Indian Evidence Act. That can be done if required. Now, it may be placed in comment box. Now, fifth point, statements made during investigation and to police officer invoking 161 only are covered. it means the statement has to be made during investigation only and to police officer only. Statement made to third person or any other person who is not a police officer, who is not investigating the offence, would not come under section 161. It would not be a statement for this purpose. Now, sixth, use of 162 means the statement, how it may be used. So first, it may be used by defense for contradicting the prosecution witness. In order to contradict the prosecution witness, it may be used by defense. Section 145 Indian Evidence Act. Now, it may be used by prosecution for contradicting the prosecution witness. Sometimes witness turns hostile. Okay. So, in such scenario, with the permission of court, the prosecution may use this section to contradict its own witness. Now, third, for re-examination to clear the matter asked in cross-examination if necessary. So, these are the 3 points. These are the 3 things for which this section is used specifically. Section 162 clause 2. Section 162 does not affect section 27 and 32 1A of Indian Evidence Act. It means information resulting in discovery of a fact article are admissible under section 27 of Indian Evidence Act. 27 of Indian Evidence Act, it talks about that self-incriminating things made to police would not be accepted, or the confessions made to police are not to be accepted. But in course of that information, if such information results in discovery of fact and article, that is admissible. Now, if police officer records dying declaration during investigation, it is admissible as evidence. So, the dying declaration and section 27, they are saved. Section 163, it talks about officer in authority should not offer any inducement, threat or promise as mentioned in section 24 Indian Evidence Act. But if person making a statement by will, then police officer is not duty bound to stop him, meaning thereby the officer in authority, he will not offer any inducement, threat or promise as mentioned in section 24 of Indian Evidence Act. But if person is making statement by his will, voluntary statement, then police officer is not duty bound to stop him. However, the restrictions placed by Indian Evidence Act would be there, but such information may be used to extract other relevant evidences and article. Now, example of inducement, threat and promise. If officer in authority says, I will get you released if you speak the truth, that would be a inducement, that would be a promise. If you confess the truth, nothing will happen to you. These are the instances, example of inducement and promise specifically. Now, words not amounting to inducement, threat and promise. I know the whole thing. These are kind of bait. Take care, we know more than what you think we know. So these statements are nowhere creating inducement, threat or promise. They are just a kind of bait to have the information from the person. Now, as we have seen, that police has been given power to collect the evidence, to conduct investigation, but at the same time the balance has been maintained that statement would not be signed by the person, it would be used for restricted purpose, self-incriminating things should not be asked, and inducement, threat or promise should also not to be made. Now, if you like the video, place comments in comment box and subscribe the channel. Thank you.